see if we can come up with a topic. And I'm gonna do more than just drive around in the desert now. Let's see here. There are a lot of times when I thought that that my dad knew everything, or my parents knew everything, and I realized over a certain course of my life that that was not to be true, and not to be true or not. I knew that they knew a lot, and the reason why they were highly sought after when they were younger, self-respected them, and but I also knew that the times were different back then, and people didn't understand the whole meaning behind what respect was, or how people thought that if you worked for a really long time and you got a really good name for yourself, that you'd be able to one day find a job that you could work for until some odd, timely, stupid thing was to come and take you away. That was a bit of what's the word? That was dumb, very dumb, and people had to know that their companies would take care of them. In most cases, no matter what. So there were a lot of times when I thought that there were people out there that that kind of helped, I guess, certain things, instead of and when I believed that they did help, they had helped.
You should have run away.
There were a lot of times where I saw them and saw what they would do. But understandably so, I didn't see a lot because I was just a kid back then, and it's probably the reason why I can't remember anything until I'm what's the word? I can't remember anything until what's the word? Not until. There we go. I can't remember anything before I was 4. Because people just really liked me. What? Did they really like me? No. I used to drink and smoke around people. It's probably the reason why my dad used to smoke inside a lot. And, man, just stuff. Things happened, you know? People were people, you know? So, whenever I decided to get to work on certain things that I was going to study, or the things that I was going to realize, is that, yes, motorcycles are still dangerous. That's why I only use them, what's the word? Use them on video games, because I don't have to learn how to constantly, what's the word? I don't have to constantly learn how to, switch gears, which is really stupid and dumb. Motorcycles should do that.
We're in pursuit.
That's probably what motorcycles are going to people are going to that make motorcycles are going to realize. So the reason why I think that motorcycles are dangerous and a lot of different things are not supposed to happen, I guess, because there are a lot of different ideals that I think that the people that believed in my dad or understood my dad's stuff, I guess, they didn't understand that I was trying to make sure that he was responsible, trying to make sure that he understood that riding on the back of a motorcycle was bad for his health. I think he might have fallen off one before.
Suspect on a motorcycle.
But that's just something I think. It's something I don't know. There are a lot of times when I believed in myself, and I knew that there were a lot of people out around me. But then I realized that those people that weren't people that I should know about, or people that I should understand. And whenever I understood different things or realized certain things for myself, there were people out there that decided that they were going to do something stupid. And like in the 70s, when a whole bunch of biker gangs decided that they were going to try to take control of the United States. And they were going to promote a bunch of people with drug money, you know, all that stuff. You know, that stuff. So there's that, and it's the reason why I don't usually take a lot of donations sometimes. It's the reason why I don't really consider myself a YouTuber, and the reason why I try to stay responsible and say that no, I don't have any person watching me because of a certain fact, because I know stuff, because I've studied things, because I've realized who controlled the markets back in the day. And if you follow the money, catch the guy. And if you don't want to catch the guy, then don't ask me. So, realize this. There are a lot of good things that those people did. Those people did good things too, sometimes. Trying to be a part of the community. Just something like football players, like guys who give themselves concussions. For a professional, for a profession, they get paid to get concussions. Because that's all I got from getting football. And a broken leg. Or, I don't know what it is, but it's fine. But, the realization of fact of people who tried and tried and tried so hard to get to me weren't trying to get to me because of certain things that they thought they knew. They were trying to get to me because they were trying to use me. Just like people who try to use other people, and the reason why I deny them so much. Usually the first contract is someone who's not trying to help you. Who's trying to get at some sort of fact, at some sort of thing. With some sort of investigation of their own, usually. Because if the cops wanted you, then they'd call you. So now I know there are a lot of people out there that did some very good things that outweigh the bad things that they've tried to accomplish. Let he who is without drugs cast the first insult, I guess. There are a lot of times when I believed in myself and knew exactly what I could do with myself. And you don't need to sell drugs to learn the metric system. That's how much I know. I know that because there's people in Europe that use it all the time, and they don't do drugs sometimes. Most of the time, they don't use drugs. But there were a lot of people that I noticed that were bad around my family sometimes. And it wasn't the fact that they were bad or that they had some sort of fate out or someone was trying to get them. It's just sometimes they had a condition sometimes, and they had to take certain things to calm themselves. Some people had to take a bit of certain things, and those things were very stupid to take because it's probably what immediately caused some people's deaths. That much I only know because of people that decided that they were going to do different things and not care about what people thought. Even though they themselves had a specific type of body type. And in some ways, sometimes what people don't understand is the psychological, what's the word? The psychological tropes, or not tropes, but symptoms of any drug, basically. When you take it, the reason why the situation, the system, yourself, your own bodily system, is taking it and realizing the joy that you felt the last time, but realizing that that thought itself that propelled you the first time was a new thought. that thought, that synapse firing, or that synapse not firing, but being sent through a channel in your brain was controlling and having a dopamine sensor. And that dopamine sensor was controlled by a drug. That drug was in your bloodstream, and that's the reason why that thing happens just once. So, also the reasons why people think that the same thought can actually propel them forward. They don't understand that it's a synapse, and when a synapse uses itself, it uses less and less energy to do the same thought because you understand the same thing. You understand the same thing, and that's it. So that's the reason why heroin and meth and methamphetamines and all those other different things, you never actually get the best feel or the best taste or the best anything, because your body is building up a reflex for it. And also the reason why people have marijuana receptors sometimes, and a generational thing, is because of their parents smoking marijuana on the regular. Now, this is the reason why a lot of people don't understand anything about marijuana. They don't understand that it's basically a relaxing catnip. That's the baser functions of it. I think its original purpose was to quell the fierceness of big animals. Oh my god. And yes, I am alone. Because there were a lot of big animals back in the day. There were a lot of big animals back in the day, and those big animals themselves decided that they were, what's the word? Not big enough to be human, or big enough to be anything like that. I'm just basically going over my own thoughts right now because they don't make any sense to me. So, the realization, and also I smoked maybe like a pack of cigarettes earlier today. So, dang it, I died. There were a lot of times I believed that people were good and people would do good things, but I really wanted them to feel what it was like to be able to just relax without having to use all that stuff. Because that's the reason why T.J. Miller was kind of right. The paranoia that sets in sometimes from having weed is the same paranoia that you get whenever people have panic attacks. But understandably so, it's their own thoughts that are kind of learning the curiosity and also realizing a certain fear, I guess, that maybe it won't work, and that dopamine sensor pushes something, and that's the push basically that happens is someone's mind is going absolutely bonkers. The real reason why I thought about what I really wanted to keep people safe from is the fact of the matter is that I really wished and I really hoped that there were a lot of people out there that knew, I guess, that there were things that were bad that were happening. But there were a lot of times where I realized that there were people out there that... There is a lot of me moving right there. But there were a lot of times where I realized that I didn't have respect for people, no matter what. There are certain things I liked about them, and there are certain things that I what's the word? Am inspired by them because of their certain want, or maybe it's just a look that they're using and the words they're saying, or maybe it's just a certain thing that they know how to do and know how to manipulate people because of their basic wants and desires to be able to make more money. Maybe I'm wrong completely and they have completely good intentions, or maybe they're just playing a huge elaborate joke on me. What they have to understand is whether or not it's any of those things or not, they all have to understand that it needs to be safe, you know? Because sometimes people are investigating stuff, that stuff might happen, or might be somewhere, and you don't know about it sometimes. And sometimes you have to talk to the cops, because you don't know what's going on, and the people who are there are, like, trying to help, and not trying to break anyone, or hurt anyone with a stick, or anything like that. Whatever color it might be. I think what people need to understand sometimes is, there are a lot of times where I realize certain fact, and I also realize that people themselves don't understand that that there are a lot of times where I didn't believe in myself because I didn't know what was going on around me, and I tried to help in any way I could, but stay completely neutral in the fact that it's not like I didn't care what was going on, but it's like I didn't know who to talk to about it. I never knew who to talk to about it, because I believe that I had no way out of my own life sometimes. It wasn't snide comments, it was something that was very ominous, and it felt like it was completely engulfing me. And people can say that's just your own consciousness doing something, but whatever it was, it changed me. And hopefully I can change back. So believe me when I say, there are a lot of people out there that still do a lot of stupid shit, and they like to think that their cops won't get to them, or won't notice them because of some sort of stupid thing that they think of, some sort of superstition that they think they have. Like ruining people to be able to think that there is some sort of reflex that'll happen. That's a cult. That you believe in the occult, and if they do that, then they're a cult. But understand too that there are people out there that there are people out there that care and know exactly what's going on, and they're the ones that are actually supposed to be able to handle it. And they usually have backup, so just all the time they have backup. There are a lot of times where people decide, oh, and also too, there are a lot of people that that try to make Jehovah's Witnesses look like common thieves and terrorists. There are a lot of reasons why I believe that religion is pretty much good. There are a lot of people that that realized certain things and had certain things, and people decided to try to use that sometimes to get to people. And there were a lot of times when people decided to not threaten people, but actually say Jehovah's Witnesses. They would open the door and then they would shoot them in the face. Because I've heard the news. I've read the news. So there are a lot of times when people don't understand that that people saw that stuff. People noticed it, and people took advantage of different kinds of avenues to be able to stop that from happening ever again. So if anyone ever decided to try to use some sort of thing against someone, they would just say a snide comment and let them know that the thing waiting for you at the door is usually not a loot crate or anything like that. It's someone, and it's very, very wrong. And it always is. It always is wrong. It's not laughable. It's not funny, because if someone forces a laugh, because someone says something in a certain way or in a certain thing that the way that people have heard it before, because this is what goes into like deep hypnosis sometimes. And it kind of seems to me that sometimes people don't understand that there is a certain science that is behind hypnosis. They make you take a certain drug, whether that drug be anything. Basically, they say a certain couple of words that are, what's the word? That can make you or anyone you have that has experience in the area, some sort of thing. Because that's the reason why psychologists research all the time. They research all the time, and not just sometimes. Yeah, all the time. Every single day of their lives. They're always researching something else. Every single day of their lives. They're always researching something. They're not just saying, hey, how's it going? I have a problem with my stuff. Usually psychologists that I've ever known, usually fix their own car. Because they don't like to spend the money. Because it's not a great profession sometimes to make the most money. Especially in the South. And I'm talking fast because I really kind of want to get this stuff out. Because these are things that I really, really wanted to know. And it's all been declassified. It's usually in the Library of Congress. Look it up. There's probably an app for it. Maybe even coming soon. I don't know. I didn't learn this stuff from hacking or trying to break into someone's stuff. I just used what I didn't see, or used what I could see, to use and see what I could see. It's the reason why the 70s were stupid and everyone blacked out everything in the CIA. They were idiotic, and they thought that any word could insinuate some sort of wrongdoing. Because they believed in the occult and actually thought or made it to be something. Because that's the reason why it's called the suggestion of something. It's the reason why people think and say a certain word and someone does something, or someone says something, or someone uses their hands constantly for no reason. And no, I don't believe in the Earth that I believe in the Earth being alive. So, but I also believe that the Earth isn't that stupid. It's been around for billions of years. If it was alive, it'd know everyone's bullshit by now. But understandably so. There are a lot of times where I believed in myself, and a lot of times where I started to realize that no matter what I did, I was probably going to fail. Not because I knew too much, because I kept being an asshole and started saying different things in front of my dad, and he would constantly tell me to leave. I don't know the reason why, but I thought it was funny, and I don't remember it. Probably it was probably a joke that I played on him when I was a baby. I don't know what it was, but I'll probably remember it later. Unless my dad videotaped me a bunch. Then you'll know the reasons why I'm such a douchebag sometimes. I wasn't like the biggest like kid who, but I mean it's like I wasn't the biggest kid who had tantrums or anything like that. But I did want to know what my dad was doing sometimes, or at least if he was okay. And there were a lot of times when I realized that through times and through certain people that my dad sometimes wasn't okay. And no, I didn't change anything, or I didn't do anything wrong. But through those certain amount of different things, I realized and noticed that there were a lot of people out there that needed help, and I didn't affect anything or do anything that would ever cause anyone any harm, I guess. I did do stupid shit, like one time I whacked off behind the levee, and I think someone saw me. With a bottle. But through all of those stupid experiences that I've ever done, or all of those things that I've ever realized, through noticing a lot of different things about myself, I realized that there were a lot of people that cared. And a lot of times I realized that there were people out there... Oh shoot, I gotta go take my meds. But as I started to realize that there were a lot of people that went through certain experiences, and a lot of people that understood different things, that I started not to take things so seriously sometimes, because I knew that a lot of people had done wrong, and I started to realize my own sense of humor, and that it didn't force me to like try to tell on people, because usually those people were doing something completely and utterly not the way that I saw it. And in some ways, it was stuff that I was making up in my own mind, because babies make stuff up sometimes. And, they do. They make stuff up in their own mind. And because they look at something else, or see something else, they start to not believe in something, or believe in anything. They don't understand that that's the reason why I knew that I myself was trying to make something a little bit better for myself. The realization of fact that there were a lot of people that didn't understand that through certain areas of their own doing, It's not some sort of saying at all. It's just be responsible around children, because the actions you use, the actions you do sometimes can cause them undue harm, because there are a lot of kids out there that study things. Little kids, little tiny baby kids. They study and they get to know everything. And they don't get to know absolutely everything, but everything they ever tried to study, I guess, as they were babies trying to figure out what this world was, because yes, they're always alive. Yes, they're always alive. They're always alive. Don't try to say they're not alive, and don't ever try to give them anything to mess with their memories. My dad was very, very stupid sometimes. And, he didn't understand me to be, I'd say, what's the word? Of my own style, and of my own kind of, reasoning, I guess. I realized that a lot of times there were people out there that did some really, really bad things, or said some really bad things, and there are a lot of people out there that did certain things, and when it's like, but there are so many worse people out there sometimes. There are people out there that do so many bad things and just act like they're all amazing, and they think that they're the best person ever when they're coked out on something, and or completely just overdoing it on their face, because yeah, that's called a sugar rush, probably. And or just cocaine. Notice that I've never taken care of a baby sometimes. I've babysat, but I've never taken care of a baby. It's two completely and utterly different things. Taking care of a baby means you have to feed it, you have to bathe it, you have to let it learn, you have to let it do things, you have to tell it that when it touched that thing that it wasn't supposed to touch, that it did things that were stupid, and no, it's stupid, but hold on a second, babies aren't just stupid, babies are curious, and that's the reason why. Babies are curious. You have to tell them in a clear and concise voice, because when it comes out at the doctor's office, it hears a bunch of regular voices. It doesn't hear a bunch of baby talk like, okay, baby, come get the air because you need to breathe air, baby. They just hear a bunch of dudes talking because their ears aren't closed. It's the reason why sometimes they cry, because it's not because they're crying, it's because it's their reflex. Oh my God. It's not painful, but it's insinuatively painful. And the way the baby comes into this world is by, what's the word? Sex between adults. Yes. All the time. Adults that are very responsible with all the things that they do. And also, for when kids that get older sometimes, they have to realize that sometimes true love is sometimes between a man and a man, or a woman and also a woman. And in some cases, they have surrogates, and they use different parts of themselves, like different parts of their genome. And technically, they have 3 parents. And oh my God, it sounds like such an abomination, but understand that happens a lot. People don't understand the reason why people are looking the way they do sometimes. And they don't understand that they can't find them, and they won't find them. Because they're stupid. And I don't know where they are. So, the realization of fact is that there are a lot of different new techniques in science that are happening right now. And a lot of people that love each other so much and really do want to see each other do well and be positive in each other's lives. Really want to make a difference in life. And really want to make a difference out there for everyone. But there are also a lot of people out there that just want to research for bad things or do things for stupid stuff. Because they didn't realize they didn't get the degree because they weren't qualified. They had to go back and realize their mistakes. And realize whatever they did wrong or said something wrong. Because I think there's some sort of recorder happening somewhere. There's some sort of camera happening. I don't know. But realize we're all on probation in some ways. But that's not the point. I'm not trying to make that point. There are a lot of times in my life where I realized that there were a bunch of people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with sometimes. I realized that, and but not in a way of like, get out, like some sort of stupid way. I realized that they were going in a different path. They were going down somewhere where I couldn't go, because I had never experienced something like that before, and I had never been able to. And I wasn't exactly suicidal, so ever, because I had to realize myself and know myself in order to do a lot of different things for myself. And there were a lot of times where I realized that there were people out there that really did care. They did certain things that were irresponsible, but they really did care about the common good. But before realizing the common good, they made mistakes. And I think that if they tried to learn different things, or if they got to learn different things differently, then they would understand that those mistakes aren't always going to be resonating with them constantly. Because that's the reason why I really do believe in rehabilitation. I really do. I really believe in it. And the only reason why I think sometimes that it actually did me any good is because there are people around that I trust in. And it worked because I believed in it, not because of anyone else's stuff. Because I talked with some people and I realized there's certain opinions, and I didn't agree with them. I mean, I was happy for their effort and glad that they tried, but I was gonna figure out my own destiny, or whatever it was. I'm wearing a Destiny t-shirt right now. Destiny 2. I want to play it so badly, so I'm gonna keep this shirt on all the time. There were a lot of times where I believed in something that was different, or knew something that was supposed to be something that I knew. I'm gonna try to see if I can do a mission now. I can't do a mission because I am stuck with doing things as... Oh, you know what? There we go. I'm gonna go as Michael. I'm gonna beat this game, no matter how long it takes me, no matter how many different problems I have to go through. When I realized that there were a lot of people out there that did good but were bad at one point, I realized that there were a lot of people that really did have hard lives, and I realized that there were a lot of people that deserved a thanks and a thank you. Sometimes, it's only sometimes, because their intentions at first were something wrong, and I don't know how many times they did it. And not that I ever don't want to know, because it would give me some perspective on the people that I treat nicely sometimes. But the realization of fact that people themselves decided to fight for no reason whatsoever, because they thought that there was something on the wire, or they thought that something was on the line, when in actuality it was just their lives. Realize that that's what you're putting. Every single time you get on a motorcycle or you're doing tricks or something like that, realize that you're not perfect. And if you are, then by all means, don't wear pads. But also realize that you might want to start on a trampoline first. And there are trampolines big enough to actually do that, and strong enough to actually do something. You might want to jump on a trampoline first. I injured myself on one. Make sure there's a cover on the springs. Realize how high you can go. Realize how far you can fly. And realize your reflexes to be able to turn yourself over in case you ever get flown off of one of those things. Realize every reflex you have, and also be safe and wear a helmet, and if you can, wear pads. Or even just steel freaking reinforced wetsuit or something, because that's what it is. Steel reinforced the knees, obviously.
So you're gonna drive into me?
But be safe, and don't be stupid. I've heard so many motorcycles freaking going around and around and around, and it's annoying as shit because I'm sometimes trying to sleep, and actually I really am trying to sleep sometimes. I'm gonna see how far my phone is charging. It's only 9:45. Realize it's very easy to be unsafe sometimes. It's very easy to be able to do different things and realize that there are certain people out there that just never wear a helmet or never do anything fun, or they just think that they're doing something because they have some sort of cause or something. There were a lot of times where I realized that there were people out there that really cared and really knew the dangers and a whole bunch of different things, but those people were doing terrible fucking things sometimes.
Get out the fucking way.
That's just the stuff that I saw. Not just movies or anything like that, because movies do imitate real life sometimes, and they try to get as close to real life as possible sometimes. And sometimes they hit the nail on the head, because sometimes I woke up and saw cars, police cars, going hardcore fast out of the freaking police station, because they had an emergency to get to, a hardcore emergency, that someone literally who was probably a major drug dealer literally just wiped out, and they had to bring them to jail because they were drunk on something, and they know what it was.
Oh!
That's right, Michael. Bad stuff. Bad stuff. But unfortunately, I think that there's a lot of people and things out there that don't understand that there are a lot of times where people really helped, and instead of trying to kill someone or trying to hurt someone or trying to break someone, they allowed them to make their own mistakes and let them realize that they let themselves be caught. The first time, the second time, the third time. And it had nothing to do with their reflexes or anything. It had everything to do with their guilt. Because humans are programmed, literally from birth sometimes, to feel guilt for bad things that they do. Not because of anything ever, but because literally that's our chemical composition. The earth itself moves and does things that we don't like, and we're parasites, we're not the earth. And people have to realize that things are dangerous outside. There are a lot of things that are dangerous, and that's what scared me as a kid. Those are the fears that changed my life sometimes. And I realized that they weren't mine because I felt like I'd already gone through all those things. But understandably so, I didn't, because I was just, as a kid, watching different stuff and different things and trying to figure out different stuff, and I know that if I got to it, that I'd injure myself. And that's how I broke my leg in high school. But understandably so too, I realized a lot of different things in my life. Because of me breaking my leg and understanding that I'm better at art, I'm way better at art, and I should probably just stick to that. That's the reason why I don't like football. Those are my reasoning behind it. That's my reasoning completely behind it. There may be some sort of thing out there that allows them to hit each other in the face. Or in the head, or in some way. But I know that I tried, and I broke my leg. It's unsafe out there. Make sure you take the right kind of minerals, the right kind of stuff. Because I believed that I had something left. I believed that I had something inside of myself that I could use to be able to become more than just a human. I believed in fictional shit way too much. And I read comic books when I was like 5 years old and hardly anything else sometimes besides books about dragons and awesome stuff. So, the realization of fact is that there were a lot of people that really did believe in me when I was younger and really knew a lot of stuff about me. A lot of things that I helped and a lot of people that I really liked. But there are also reasons why I didn't like those people anymore. Because they had hard lives too. And I had to let them heal because there aren't any pieces of chaos or anything like that, because it's all a cartoon about a young girl who tries to solve crimes with her detective brother. It's called Gossick. It's really cool. And there are a lot of times where I believed that there are people out there that have, they don't, it's like, that's the reason why, though, I've noticed, is we've been hardwired to feel guilt and have things like that, but, and that's the reason, that's the way that, not creationism made us, but literally the earth forced us to be for safety of itself. It allowed us to stay in a certain part when it was just a tad little thing. Because that's what it did. And that's what I believe sometimes. Earth goes into stages of dormancy and activeness. And that's the only reason is because it's completely alive. It's the reason why it keeps pumping out all that hot stuff. Because, and I don't think that it ever would just run tunnels of hot stuff everywhere. Because that would burn holes in the earth. And that would be stupid. If people believe that there's a super volcano, they also know that it kind of also looks like the thing that's used for a thruster. Shit. I'm completely by myself. That's what the super volcano looks like. I saw the picture, and it looks like what a rocket thruster is. Is there someone trying to move the earth? I don't think so. That's fake. That's in fiction. That's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's probably their next story because I read the comics. Alright, so as we're going on through my thoughts and things that and stuff that that that's stupid. A lot of people had to realize that that I'm a pretty smart guy, and I catch on extremely quickly. Those are a lot of times where I believed in myself, and I realized where my mistakes were, and I had to understand that there were a lot of times where I believed in a lot of stuff, and believed in a lot of fictional characters, and but that's what I have to believe sometimes, because my thoughts go absolutely all over the place sometimes, and that's the reason why I have a disability. I have a disability because I may have been... No, that's not true. I'm not even going to say that. I may have been traumatized. And that's probably the reason why I forgot some stuff, because of things that are, things that are people that are stupid. And I don't know, you know, it's like, I know we're hardwired to feel a whole bunch of things, but I know that drugs in itself, it completely and utterly rewires all that stuff. And that's the reason why I think I might have given myself I might have rewired my brain, not knowing that there were some sort of realization that I needed, some sort of thing that I needed to realize, and some sort of thing that I needed to know. And there was a lot of times where there were a lot of times, damn it. There were a lot of times when I there were a lot of times when I realized that people themselves were not realizing a certain part of themselves, or not seeing a certain thing inside of their life. Not seeing a certain clause, or seeing a certain place, and understanding that they themselves need to be able to do something better with themselves, and realize that there are people out there that care so much, and they would take care of a lot of different things had it not been for a lot of different things that happened in the way of things. And because of certain people's quarrels and certain people's beefs and certain people's idiocy, sometimes people aren't able to do their jobs, because that's what happens. And that's the reason why people have to understand that sometimes you don't get a second chance. No one else does, and no one else does ever. No one gets a second chance in life. It really does suck. And it really does really suck. And people have to understand that there are people that are just ready, willing, and able to help, and realize and know how depressing it is. And had it not been for a lot of people that were quarreling and fighting and bickering and enslaving people and doing terrible fucking things, I think that we'd be better off. Or selling drugs, or selling stupid shit, or saying stupid shit, or doing stupid shit. Then people would have noticed and would have known. And I can say whatever I want to say, because I've seen where it leads to. It leads to everywhere and nowhere. And you become literally nothing. Completely and utterly silent. with literally no screen in front of you. With no life to lead. And nothing, ever. You have to realize the wisdom from somebody who's experienced it. And realize the wisdom of somebody who's really, really noticed that everything out there can really, really hurt. And it can make you hurt because it'll make you hurt. Because it'll wonder why you're out there, and it'll think that you're punished for something. There are a lot of people out there that started to believe or started to think that there was something out there that would help them. And they have to know that there are a lot of people that believe that they themselves deserve redemption no matter what. And they have to understand that the realization of redemption is the fact that you don't deserve it. The realization of redemption is the fact that it would take trillions upon trillions upon trillions of years to turn your entire consciousness into an earth that anyone could support or become anyone's everything. Or do anything like that. And all of those things are cults and stupid people that believe that everything is theirs. But they have to understand that they only wish that the doors were unlocked. That's all they wish. They only wish that every single time they opened a door or did something, that they believed in something other than themselves. Because they took too many drugs, or they went down a hard path and didn't realize that the sun was beating down on them. The sun got them. The sun had them. The sun had them at the moment they came there. The moon saw them. The moment they decided to do anything. And the moment they decided to try to do something else, the earth is a criminal. Instead of trying to feed it all the time, just don't. Instead of trying to help it all the time, realize that it's helping itself. Shit's gonna grow no matter what. A lot of stuff's gonna grow, no matter what. People are gonna be like, I made that. And they're just like, no you didn't. The earth made that, and it just used your blueprints. Because that was it. But I had my blueprints over in my car. It's still new. The whole time. So realize that all your shits are base, and all your base are yours. Because that's basically what it turns into sometimes. A coffin. It turns into a big old nasty ass septic tank. Especially when the organs are still inside. Smells like fucking ass all the time. It smells like ass. Every single ounce of it smells like ass. It doesn't smell like poo. It smells like literally the inside of your butthole. And the inside of your butthole has had a lot of poop. And if you don't like squirt out a little bit of water every once in a while, that stuff stays there. Yeah. It's really nasty. So, realize that, that's where hemorrhoids came from. It's residual poop stuff. That's what happens. I studied colonoscopies. Not actual colonoscopies. I studied the colon and realized the direction that the stuff comes out. It's so... The reason why your butthole is turned like that, it's not so you can change it. It's so the poop doesn't come out all the time and the fart stays. And when the poop comes out, the water comes out and then you wipe it. That's what happens. So realize that. Realize that's the reason why motorcycles are also still dangerous and they can give you hemorrhoids. No matter what speed you're going or if you're turning over a certain way, if your butthole's a certain way, it's still vibrating it. So if you want your butthole vibrated, oh yes, and your balls, and your pain. What happens? It's the reason why I don't like motorcycles. It's the reason why. I was like, why is this vibrating? It's dumb. Cars have shocks, they're better. And if you want a really good seat, look at a recliner chair. Look at it. Don't just build a bike seat. Because that's what that black leather thing on the back of Harleys are sometimes. It's just a bike seat. That's what it is. I'm alone. I'm by myself. So realize motorcycles are dangerous no matter what. And realize there is no stopping the hemorrhoids. Not because of certain people or anything like that, but because it vibrates your butthole. Your anus. I don't know what it is. So I'm going to blow something up. I had 24. Woo! I'm Jack Bauer. Come here, truck. I got him. Mission accomplished.
Citizens reporting MDB on,
So realize, it's not the reason why I'm trying to stop people from going into a club of some kind. It's the reason why I know they'll fart in there and make terrible, terrible sounds with their butthole.
suspect last seen on Alhambra Drive.
Because yes, it makes your butthole tight, because every single time you take a turn, one of your cheeks moves. I got shot by... Oh no, I got busted! Wait a second! Also, horses aren't that great either, sometimes. So, realize that if they're scared or excited at all, they shake and they tremble. And that's sometimes what can cause a bad infection sometimes. Or even what people would call HPV. Yeah, it's just a hardcore urinary tract infection. That's what it is. So realize it's just a different class because it's a different intensity. So, HPV is not contagious, Amy Schumer. I'm sorry I said your name like that, but you had to understand. And there's no way I'm changing my career path. I'm gonna play video games forever. I still haven't cleaned my room. Because now I'm an adult and I get to do what I want. I can play video games all freaking day and smoke cigarettes. This is a dream that I realized. Also, I own my own business somewhat because I asked for a tax identification number. It's cool. And no, I'm not going to do anything with it yet because I know that there are people out there that are going to go to yeah. So, I'm waiting for the market to open up on it. And not open up on just one thing, but actually have a reason to do things. Because I know that there are a lot of people out there that think they like art and think they know art, but they only like art because they found art and they like it. But I like art because I appreciated more and more things every single time I ever got into it. I know I appreciate art, and I make fun of people all the time. Like, what's his name? Van Gogh was a color by numbers guy sometimes. I noticed his artwork. I noticed his strokes and paintings. He made textures to make it seem like he wasn't, but he was. And I know that for a fact. He would draw out all of his stuff, and he would make little boxes and different things and stuff like that. But if that's how you have to learn, then that's how you have to learn. But understandably so, there are so many different techniques out there. There are ways to be able to learn calligraphy and learn brushstrokes of an artist. And that's, I think, the reason why a lot of different Japanese and Chinese people have learned calligraphy in their lives. Because there are a lot of different artworks that they're literally retiring to do. They're retiring to be able to make art and do a lot of different stuff and not have carpal tunnel because they'll be able to rest their hands whenever they're going through too much stress. And I need some water somewhat. But there are a lot of times where I believed that people themselves when they retire, there will be some sort of thing that they would do that was I was used to people. I guess I might have seen some things when I was younger and it affected me in a certain way. And also I watched this weird cartoon one time, and I don't think anyone else saw that. People saw that. People saw how really curvy those women were in the cartoons sometimes, and how their nips were going out sometimes, and all that other different stuff. They got really suspicious of cartoons sometimes. And I was just like, yeah, I'm pretty suspicious of cartoons too. Sounds like some people are trying to steal some babies. But also, realize that there are people out there that that help and that know, and in no way was ever anyone in danger, I guess. Because I realized that there are a lot of people out there that want to help and want to do good things, but there are a lot of times where people need to just step back for a minute, because there are things that kids make up in their minds when people go through stress. There are things that kids make up in their own minds and think that they're going to go off on their own and make their own adventure or make their own idea, and that's where sometimes a lot of people realize that where California actually came from. Where a lot of places came from, and where a lot of people decided to call their home. And the reason for the idea that not the trauma, but the idea that they came up with, it made a big impact on what people were trying to do with themselves. It makes a big impact every single day because people know to be united no matter what their opinions are, and realize that that there are other people in other states that don't have those ideals. The polls were wrong. That's the reason why I know. There are plenty of people that believed in Trump, and a lot of people that were pushing liberal agendas. That not to say that there weren't any places saying that Trump wasn't available. It's just sometimes they weren't ever heard.
You got lucky, buddy.
And you have to understand that if you're going to try to manipulate a market, you have to realize that people themselves, they change their minds all the time. You can't just put people in front of a product and say, alright, eat it. Well, what is it? It's a thing. What kind of thing? It's a thing that'll help you. What kind of thing will help you? And that's the game that I learned from On the Spot. That babies, if they're smart, they ask a bunch of questions. And they don't believe you. Ever. But to me it's funny because something's actually learning, or someone is actually learning. Because if animals could talk, they'd probably do the same goddamn thing. Yeah. There were a lot of times where I believed in myself and really thought that I could change people's minds. Then I realized the more that I stayed there, the more that they'd made up their own mind. And I thought that that was probably better. And I realized that my job was pretty much done in certain places. I realized that there were people out there that just aren't going to change their minds no matter what. Because they're used to the idea of feeling satisfied in certain situations. They're used to the idea of doing something that they want and getting results. And if they don't realize that that place came from a side of trauma or some sort of hurtful notion, then they're never going to be rehabilitated until they pass on and realize that it was all just a sham. A sham. That whatever they were thinking about was only their brain trying to tell them and let them know that everything was okay. Because they distanced themselves from thoughts so many times that they didn't understand that there were a lot of people out there that really wanted to help them. And that's how sometimes people go in certain directions and try to get certain guns and don't realize that they're being controlled because they saw it on a TV, or if they saw it on a video game, that's the only thing that they ever saw, and realize that they didn't play the video game long enough to realize sometimes this is a motorcycle simulator too. And also a really good teacher on reflex about versus gains. Yeah. The most stuff that I've realized about different people and different stuff, and different people, is that everyone's got their own opinion about something. Everyone's got their absolutely own opinion about something. And when there's something going on or when there's something happening, the realization of fact is that it's like this one time I played tag with my brother. And a van of girls, one of them who was pregnant, I'm not going to say the race because I don't feel like it and it's dumb, because it could have been any group of girls, because there were stupid white girls too and stupid black girls. Because I tell these girls that they were girls because they were very young and they were teenager-like. They were very teenagers. They were very much teenagers. And one of them was pregnant. And they decided to run out and get out of a van right in front of the cops. And the cops basically didn't stop them until they came right near our door. Those girls decided that they were, I guess, running from the cops, and they would confuse the cops by running in betwixt two young gentlemen who looked nothing like them. Mostly because they were female, and one of them was pregnant, like I said before. Not saying that she did anything bad to get that pregnancy, but I don't know. So she was running from the cops. I don't know. And I don't like to get into those things because I'm a smart boy. Because cops tell people to stay out of it. And always stay out of it. And I don't like to get into things like that. But I realized that there was still a game of tag going on. And I wasn't going to let my brother win. My brother Adam stopped for a second. And I said, "Tag, you're it." And I ran off. In betwixt a bunch of different women that were... they weren't all pregnant. So that's not... I wasn't saying that they were all pregnant. I said that some of them were pregnant. But yeah, that's what happened. And I realized a lot of things that day. I realized I had the confidence to be able to take on my problems and be able to make sure that I could make a business for myself one day. But also, I needed money. Not just capital. I needed money. But realization of fact, and the realization that there are so many people out there that absolutely help all the time. And I think the reason why they actually left or stopped being a part of my neighborhood was because they realized their folly, and they realized that the risk outweighed the reward. Being able to be inside of a neighborhood that didn't have any other cars going around all the time was good, but also realizing that they would speed out at really, really high speeds. Sometimes, not nearly or anyway, but they were very safe about it, and they only worked at certain times when we were mostly at school. But my mom still experienced that, and she was pregnant with my little brother. So there were a lot of times where my mom got scared and stuff like that. So I realized that there were people out there that really cared, because that station got shut down, and I think someone bought it. So I wish that person well, and I hope they don't speed up down the goddamn road. I hope they don't speed up and down the road, because I really would like that neighborhood to be safe, and a lot of other different neighborhoods to be safe near me and around different people that go to church, that do different things, that are different ways, and I go into a lot of detail about what I really, really specifically want, and that's the reason why I say so many different kinds of adverbs and adjectives and things like that, because I don't want people to get it confused sometimes. And I say it like sometimes I'm re-experiencing all the memories sometimes. And I guess that I think people don't understand that there are reasons why I decided that there are people out there that deserve a future, and that future isn't sometimes around me, you know? I decided a lot of times where when I was a young kid that I would shut people out of my life, or that if they didn't allow me to play Super Nintendo, then I wouldn't let them do anything in the company that I was gonna build when I was 30 years old. I don't know. I thought that there was a distance between me and them, and I think that there was, because they all went off and did their own thing, and I really wanted to be a part of the group whenever they played Super Nintendo sometimes, but I was never a part. And I guess my brothers and sisters would try, I guess, to make me a part of the different things, and I felt like I was different anyways, I guess. And I felt like they they were trying to be supportive, and all I could be was happy, I guess. And that they were supportive, I guess, and I guess maybe I sensed it in some way. And I don't really think I sensed it. I just sensed that my brother and my brothers and my sister all had my back, and they knew that I wanted to play video games and be a regular person. And there were a lot of times where I decided to do something better for myself, and I realized that there were a lot of stupid things that I did, like play firework wars. We played firework wars. We just shot fireworks at each other. We were on opposite sides of the ditch, and I had a basketball. What's the word? It was an old basketball hoop, and I used it to block the fireworks. It was really stupid, and it was a really dumb thing to do, but I decided that I was that I was trying to make something of myself, and I was trying to do something funnier, and I would do stupid shit like eat paper in class and call myself Goat Boy because of something that I heard off of someone's Comedy Central package they had. And there were a lot of times where I realized that there were a lot of things that I missed, and a lot of things that I loved, and a lot of situations where I wanted to make new memories like that, but not exactly like that. Something a little bit different, something that kept my brain realizing certain things and realizing the fact that I was better off trying to draw and do things on my own. But I really wanted to experience life in order to do that. I wanted to not try to smoke an entire pack of cigarettes. I wanted to not try to do things that were freaking cool and fun. Things that I thought were cool and fun. And then I realized that if I was to draw all the time and do a whole bunch of different stuff like that, then I would never have no time for myself or time to play video games at all. And I'm gonna blow something up. So, Michael can call bullshit all he wants to.
Holy shit!
I tried so hard to be able to make sure that I could do something for myself and make a better day for myself. There were a lot of people out there that did a lot of good things and a lot of great things, and because of certain people who did bad things to people who deserved it, but then realized that eventually they would also receive the same fate because of what they did. Or not just what they did, but because of their extreme, like this character, a whole bunch. He acts like he's not being burned by the sun alive. I'm sure if he took that thing off, he'd probably have a complete and utter suntan. If he was an actual character.
Use toothbrushes.
So realize, there are a lot of times where I believed in really, really stupid shit. There were a lot of times where I believed in a lot of different kinds of dumb stuff that was not healthy for me at all. And there were a lot of times that I believed in stuff to be able to make sure that I could get to a certain point in my life and realize a certain person that was there to help me and be able to help me do different things, because they were there before sometimes, and I realized that a lot of times that they'd be there again, but there are so many times where I didn't understand and I didn't really feel the best that I ever felt, because I felt like I was letting someone down. And that person just decided to be who or turned out to be my own consciousness. And I thought that I was letting myself down, and realized that there were a lot of things that I needed to understand, and there were a lot of people that realized that God dang it. I need to stop using that music for emotional whatevers. There were a lot of times where I believed in a lot of different things in my life, and I didn't realize that a lot of times there were a lot of people that weren't healthy for me, and I realized that those things, then people that weren't healthy for me, I had to change, and if they didn't change, then they had to go, or I had to go, whichever one, because that's the way that I've been able to change my life for good, and realize that people themselves, they do things because they want to, not because they're forced to sometimes. And they do things because they think of something. They think of something good to do. Maybe they're evil, maybe they're dumb, maybe they just do that because they think they're insensitive. But it doesn't mean I'll ever let the memory of them go, because it'll stick with me. It'll definitely stick with me and make me feel the best when I'm not thinking about them having the best time of my life at PlayStation Amusement Park. I'm sorry, I'm dumb. Only the best time of my life, because I'll be able to be making memories that aren't there yet. That's what makes me happy, and that's what makes me enjoy more life. About my life, is I get to make memories, and I get to help myself. And no matter what kind of memory it is, I always learn from it. No matter what kind of fate or anything that I have, or what kind of people are out there, or not out there. There are a lot of times where I believed in everything that was myself. There are a lot of times where I believed in a lot of different things, and people had to understand and know that there are a lot of people out there that do good, but don't want to be called out for it all the time. And that's in where people decide that they're going to take a hiding, or take a hike, or take anything, or do anything. And those are all things that I don't believe, because it's not about that. Not about that. I'm a robot now. No, I'm not. There are a lot of times where I believe that there were people out there that deserved my, what's the word? My help, or my advice. And my advice is for people to understand that there's so many people out there that are able to help, and that are able to do things, and that are able to do things well, and realize that their professionalism is what keeps them completely afloat, and literally sometimes just their word is what keeps an entire company afloat sometimes. So the realization of fact is that there are people out there that really do sometimes not get paid for what they really, really have amazingly done. I'll know that whatever I do, however I do it, is sometimes left to chance. And I realize that that chance itself is really, really what's the word? Seldom and few and far between. So realize that there are people out there that care, and there are things out there that help. But as soon as people start to make decisions on their own, they have to let them go, and they have to let them know that there are people out there that care for them other than them. And the real reason why I've decided to be able to kind of just take a sabbatical somehow, just know that you're your own one-man metaphorical bomb squad. One-man personal metaphorical bomb squad. You may not be able to help anybody else's problems, but you can help your own, and realize that it's not just pamphlets that help. It's the professionals that know exactly what's wrong with you because they've studied you. So let them study you. Let them study you. Let them study you. They can get you back in working order. Let them help you. They can keep you until you can keep yourself. Yourself. Be there for yourself and realize there are people out there that constantly help and help everyone. Because there's always a new chance to make a friend, and if someone's out there for you, if someone's helping you, or if someone's ever trying to hurt you, then there are places you can go and people you can trust. Realize it doesn't have to always be a lonely, lonesome road. It doesn't have to be another night with someone else. It doesn't have to be another place where you thought that would be cool and then it wasn't. Realize that halls of mirrors and people's situations don't deserve to be seen sometimes, because that's for when kids go to places in Halloween. They get to see the stuff that didn't do the bad but imitates the bad for a time, to show people that there are bad things out there, to show people that there are bad people out there, to show people that there are bad things that people don't understand, and realize that there are really things in the water. It's the reason why we recycle our own. So realize a lot of different ways. There are a lot of different things that try to literally control a bunch of people and make them gasp for air. And there's a whole bunch of different people that have been trying to do that and trying to do a whole bunch of different stuff. And I have to say this, that Russia is racist as fuck. Like, completely racist. Like, completely racist. Think of the Megalodon. Think about how people do things and how people say things and how people know things, and how that's literally sometimes what Russia and Germany used to do. Sometimes they trade off, and then Germany didn't want to do it anymore. So Russia came up with some fake treaty. Because I know it's fake. Because he just said it himself. And he wrote it down. Because he's like, oh, this is a treaty, you guys. Oh, what happened after you killed everything? Good job, Russia. So realize the shoes that are destined to never be filled. Whoever the fuck I'm talking to. or whoever the fuck cares, or whoever cares at all, realize that there are people out there that care, but there are people out there that don't deserve a certain fate sometimes, or most of the time, or any of the time. And that they shouldn't understand that they're watched. Not only watched, but purposefully fooled into believing a bunch of different things. And the reason why they're sitting in a chair trying to watch a young boy live stream on YouTube. Because I'm a young boy. I'm 31. Made the big 3-1 this year. Made a big number this year. And I only say that because you think the dudes that are effeminate are gay, but they've had girlfriends, and they've usually had a lot of girlfriends because they're sometimes very, very good singers. And that's how I think where Lupe Fiasco lost his fame. He started dissing different people, not knowing who he was dissing sometimes, because he used to hear things and probably didn't understand them. I think if he understood them, then he'd probably understand a lot more and realize that maybe shouldn't have been talking about Diet Coke or anything like that, but who am I to judge, you know? Because I'm not a judge. I'm 30 years old, 31 years old. Sorry, 31. Guys, missed it by 1 year. Jeez. So, be yourself and understand that, people don't follow the same systems as before. And they never will. And that much I know. Have a good day, and whether it's rainy or cloudy or any sort of thing, you can always stand outside sometimes. You don't have to smoke a cigarette, but you can stand outside. Have a good day, and be yourself, and realize that no matter what kind of life you've had, no matter what kind of decisions you made in the past because of inconsistencies and stupid people, the realization of fact is the decisions you make today could change everything. Your life, your outlook on life, the end of your life, or realizing that life goes on. Have a good day, and always be yourself.